Think about the last time your mind got stuck on something. Maybe it was 2 in the morning and you were still replaying a conversation from 3 days earlier, running the tape over and over on what you said and what you should have said. Maybe you were in the shower reviewing a decision that didn't need to be made for another 3 months. Maybe you sat down at the end of the week to deliberately relax, and your brain had entirely different plans. You tried to stop. You told yourself to stop. Perhaps several times with increasing firmness. It didn't stop. People who can't turn their mind off have been hearing the same advice for most of their lives. Just relax. Stop overthinking. Let it go. As if the mind were a tap you could close with sufficient willpower, or a dial you could simply turn down when the mood struck. The psychology says something more interesting than that. Here's something most people don't know about the human brain. When it appears to be doing nothing, it's actually doing a great deal. Staring out of a window, lying in bed in the dark, standing in the shower. During all of these, the brain isn't in a rest state. It's running one of its most energy-intensive systems, consuming resources at close to the rate it uses during active, focused work. Neuroscientists have a name for this. They call it the default mode network. What is it doing? Future simulation, social modeling, memory consolidation, working through what's unresolved, playing out what might happen next. The brain defaults to this mode because this is some of its most important work. The system responsible for imagining the future, understanding other people, and making sense of experience over time. The overactive mind isn't an anomaly. It's the default mode network doing exactly what it was designed to do, with the volume turned up. The mind that won't stop isn't a broken mind, it's a busy one. Picture someone sitting in a quiet apartment on a Sunday afternoon. Nothing on the schedule, nowhere to be. They sit down to watch something or read. Within 5 minutes, their mind has moved to a conversation from last Tuesday, a decision they haven't made yet, something someone said a week ago that they're still not sure how to interpret, and a vague unease they can't quite locate. They pick up their phone, put it back down, pick it up again. They're not anxious. Their brain simply has more it wants to process, and the stillness gave it the opening. What looks like a mind that can't settle is a mind doing background work, using the only quiet moments the day provides to get through the things that don't resolve during the busy parts. The brain doesn't distinguish cleanly between thinking about a problem and solving it. When something remains unresolved, the mind returns to it, as though continued attention might eventually close the loop. Researchers studying this in the 1920s made a curious observation. Waiters in a busy restaurant could hold a remarkable amount of information in memory while orders were in progress. But the moment the bill was paid, the details vanished, almost immediately. Completed orders disappeared while incomplete ones stayed vivid and available. The pattern: incomplete things stay active, completed things get released. The mind has a mechanism for tracking unfinished business, and it keeps those files open until they can be closed. Psychology named it the Zeigarnik effect. What the brain is doing when it loops isn't simply worrying you. It's holding your place. It's keeping the file open because, as far as it's concerned, the file isn't done. The difficulty comes when the loop targets something that can't be resolved by thinking alone. A relationship you're uncertain about. A decision with no clearly right answer. A feeling you can't name or act on. The brain keeps flagging it as incomplete. But no amount of thinking closes it, because closing it requires action or acceptance, not more analysis. And so the loop runs again, and the file stays open. This is why telling someone to stop thinking about something is a bit like asking a fire alarm to stop detecting heat. The loop isn't a character flaw. It's a mechanism doing exactly what it was built to do, applied to a class of problems it wasn't designed to solve. Here's something counterintuitive. The harder you try not to think about something, the more reliably you think about it. Psychologists tested this. Participants were given one instruction: don't think about a white bear. Think about anything at all, just not that. They couldn't do it. The white bear appeared constantly, and the harder they tried to suppress it, the more frequently it came up. The explanation? The monitoring mechanism requires keeping the thought available in order to check against it. Suppression is simultaneously recall. The system designed to close the thought is what keeps it open. Psychologists call this ironic process theory. Just stop thinking about it is not only unhelpful, it is, technically, the wrong instruction. Here's a second finding. Those who tend toward ruminative thinking, the persistent cycling mental activity that defines an overactive mind, consistently show stronger recall for emotionally significant events. Not for everything, for the things that carry real weight. The mind that won't let something go is also the mind that doesn't lose it. A third, research on creativity consistently links the default mode network to original thinking, imaginative problem solving, and the ability to draw connections between things that aren't obviously related. The restless mind and the creative mind. The busy mind and the imaginative one. Running the same machinery. The person who can't turn their mind off tends to arrive at situations having already considered angles others haven't gotten to yet. They've spotted the thing everyone else overlooked because they were still thinking about it when everyone else had moved on. They're also the person for whom genuine rest is harder to come by. Not because anything is wrong with them, but because the brain that's constantly processing doesn't shift modes easily. A quiet afternoon that most people find restorative can feel, to them, like an opening that the mind moves to fill almost before it's formed. They process important things more slowly than others would prefer, and more thoroughly than others think is necessary. A decision that takes most people 5 minutes might take them much longer. Not because they can't decide, because their mind won't let something that matters be treated as something that doesn't. Researchers studying mind wandering have found that the human mind is somewhere other than the present moment for roughly half of all waking hours. Not sleeping, not focused on the task at hand. Elsewhere, replaying, projecting, running through scenarios that haven't happened yet. Most people treat this as a failure of concentration. The research suggests it may be something else. The mind doing its most sophisticated work in the only stretches of time that open up for it. The specific content of what someone's mind returns to again and again is not random. The mind doesn't loop on things that don't matter to it. It loops on exactly what it hasn't resolved and exactly what it won't let be treated as unimportant. In a way that's surprisingly consistent across people, the things a person can't stop thinking about turn out to be a fairly accurate map of what actually matters to them. There's a body of research on the default mode network and rumination worth exploring if this opens something up and you want to go further. The mind that won't stop isn't broken. It knows what's still open, and it's not done yet.